Okay, so this will be a video 7. So we will see the treatments, what are the various treatments. So treatment for urinary incontinence will depend on several factors such as type of incontinence, person's age, their general health and their mental state. So stress incontinence, when we see pelvic floor exercises or Kegel's exercises, help strengthen the urinary sphincter and pelvic floor muscle, the muscle that helps control urination. So what is this Kegel's exercises? When they feel, okay, so in female, usually we teach, okay, even before the delivery this is taught as antenatal exercise. So you have to teach the women that when they have a urge of passing urine, they should not pass, but they should hold their, urethral muscle, and, they have to tighten the perineal area without passing the urine. So this will strengthen the pelvic floor muscle in the women. Okay, so this they have to practice, and this will help them to stop the incontinence. Okay, then double voiding, okay, so next we'll go to bladder training. So how to train the bladder? So delay the event. To aim is to control urge. The patient learns how to delay urination whenever there is a urge to do so. So in times of urge incontinence, so this is also called as effort incontinence or reflex incontinence. So we have seen, so whenever the patient feels like voiding, you should always make sure that he withholds himself or herself without doing it. So delaying the process. So this is one of the bladder training. Then double voiding. This involves urinating, then waiting for a couple of minutes, then urinating again. So when they pass urine, again they have to hold back, okay, that they do not pass, then again after 1 minute or 2 minutes they can pass the urine. So this also plays a vital role. This also is one type of the bladder training. Then toilet timetable, which is a scheduled toilet trips. This means going to the toilet at set times during the day. The patient learns to go, for example, every 2 hours. So he has to make a timetable, and every 2 hours he should be able to go to the toilet and void. Before that he should not do, or he should not delay after 2 hours. So this is called as toilet timetable. So bladder training helps the patient gradually gain back control over their bladder. Next, medications for urinary incontinence. So if medications are used, they are usually done so in combination with other techniques or exercises. The following medications are given. So exercises and bladder training play a vital role. Along with that, the patient can be given medications like anticholinergic, which calms the overactive bladder. Okay, if the bladder has become overactive, so it actually calms that. It may help patients with urge incontinence. Then topical estrogen may reinforce tissue in the urethra and vaginal areas and lessen some of the symptoms of incontinence. So topical like ointment estrogen can be applied, which will be strengthening the urethra and the vaginal area. Okay, then imipramine, tofranil, okay, it is a tricyclic antidepressant. If it case because of the mental pressure, okay, or mental agony in the patient which can lead to incontinence, then imipramine can be given, which is tofranil. It is a tricyclic antidepressant. Okay, so these are all the various medications that are given. Next we will go to medical advices. So what are the various medical advices that are given? So the following medical advices are designed for females. Okay, so urethral inserts. The woman inserts a device before activity and takes it out when she feels to urinate. So there will be a device which will be inserted through the urethra, and whenever the lady wants to urinate, okay, then she will remove, so that it will prevent the dribbling or incontinence. Then pessary, it is a rigid ring inserted into the vagina. It is worn all day. The device helps hold the bladder up and prevent leakage. So this ring, okay, rigid ring will be inserted in the vagina. So it will be there all the day, and this device actually helps the bladder, okay, to hold up. The bladder will go high and it will prevent leakage. Then you have the radio frequency therapy. So in this therapy, tissue in the lower urinary tract is heated. Okay, so they will kind of heat the tissue in the lower urinary tract. When it heals, it usually firmer, it becomes usually firmer, often resulting in better urinary control. So radio frequency, so certain amount of heat energy is produced which will heal the bladder there, and then which becomes more firmer, the muscles will become more firmer and it results in better urinary control. Then you have Botox, that is botulinum toxin type A. So this is injected into the bladder muscle to help those with an overactive bladder. So it helps, okay, if there is any kind of irritation or infection, it can lead to overactive bladder. So when this botulinum toxin type A, that is the Botox, is injected, it cures the overactive bladder, or it calms down the overactive bladder, therefore preventing incontinence. Then you have bulking agents. So these are injected into tissues around the urethra to help keep it closed. Okay, then you have sacral nerve stimulator. So this is implanted under the skin of the patient's buttock. So you see that this implant under the skin will be there of the patient buttock. So somewhere on the patient's buttock they will insert this. A wire will connect to a nerve that runs from the spinal cord to the bladder. So there will be a wire which is connecting to the nerve. This is actually inserted under the skin of the buttock, and this wire will be running into the spinal cord to the bladder. The wire emits an electrical pulse that stimulates the nerve, helping bladder control. So this wire which is connecting to the spinal cord will prevent the incontinence, okay, because it will help in the bladder control. So that is called a sacral nerve stimulator. So urethral inserts, pessary, radio frequency therapy, Botox, bulking agents which are injected into the tissue around the urethra, and it helps it to be closed. Okay, then sacral nerve stimulator. Next we will go to surgery. We will see what are the various surgical procedures that they are done, and then we will go on to nursing management. Okay, so surgery is an option. If other therapies are not working out, then they have to plan. Women who plan to have children should discuss surgical option thoroughly with their doctor. So if ladies are going to reproduce or going to have delivery, they should discuss about this with the doctor. Sling procedure. Then you have call-pause suspension, okay, call-pause suspension and artificial sphincter. So sling procedure, a mesh is inserted under the neck of the bladder to help support the urethra and to stop urine from leaking out. So in this procedure, a mesh like a net, it will be produced or inserted under the neck of the bladder to help support the urethra. So it helps and supports the urethra from leakage. Next, call-pause suspension. So the bladder neck is lifted. Okay, if the bladder muscle has come down, so what they will try to do, this call-pause suspension is, they will try to lift the neck of the bladder. The procedure can help patients with stress incontinence. Okay, so whenever they cough or push, lift heavy objects or do exercises, then they might not have if the bladder neck is lifted. Third one, artificial sphincter. Valve, okay, it can be a valve which may be inserted to control the flow of urine from the bladder into the urethra. So because the sphincter is not working, they will keep an artificial sphincter, or it can be a valve which will be inserted, which will have control over the urine. So these are the three procedures which can be done. So other options, urinary catheter you can put, okay, and then along with the bag, or absorbent pads. Okay, there is a vast range of absorbent pads available at pharmacies and supermarkets like diaper. Okay, so these two are also alternative methods if they don't want to undergo surgery. The nursing management, you have to obtain history, see which kind of incontinence they have, severity of urine loss, what are the previous method that they had done to control this or to manage, and what are the aggravating or alleviating factors, or what are the risk factors that the patient has that has led to this incontinence. Then we have to perform a focused physical assessment, use inspection of the perineal skin, examination of the vaginal vault, okay, reproduction of the sign of stress in urinary incontinence. So you have to check the perineal skin. So it will indicate any infection. If there is a prolonged dribbling for many days or years, then we can make out. Okay, so that can be identified, and then complete a bladder log of urine elimination pattern and frequency and severity of urine loss. So find out what is the severity, what kind it is, pattern, frequency, how many times it happens within half an hour or 1 hour, that can be calculated. Then assist the patient to select and apply urine containment device or devices, review types of containment products with the patient including advantages, potential complications associated with each type of product. So whichever they want to use, like medical devices, we have seen urethral insert, pessary, okay, or if they are willing to have only the urinary catheter bag or absorbent pads, whichever device, whatever would be helpful for them, find out, explain to them and seek their view or opinion. Evaluate disposable versus reusable products of urine containment, considering factors of setting home care versus acute care versus long-term care, preferences to patient and caregiver, and immediate versus long-term cost. So again, in this we should make sure that we ask them, okay, whichever you want, which is cost effective, whether you want to use items which can be reusable or you want to dispose it, again it is their decision. Then cleanse the skin with an incontinence cleaning product system. Okay, so cleaning, maintaining hygiene, prevention of infection has to be taught. Use soap and water on the perineum to more than once daily or every other day as necessary in order to make sure that the skin is not getting infected. Then apply a skin moisturizer following cleansing. So home care, when we see long-term care, if the patient is going to stay for a long time and when he has his incontinence for a longer time, so making sure that we check properly the skin, perineal skin, and adequate care has to be given more than once. Okay, then apply skin moisturizer following cleansing. Then we have to apply a protective barrier or ointment to the perineal skin when incontinence is severe, when double fecal urinary incontinence exists, both if they are there. If there is even fecal incontinence and urinary incontinence, it is going to be a risk for the patient to develop pressure sore. So that has to be considered significantly. Then consult the physician concerning use of any antifungal powder or ointment when perineal dermatitis is complicated by monoleal infection. If the patient has already developed any kind of infection, it can be because of monoleal infection, then ask the doctor if he can use any ointment or any antifungal powder, okay, when perineal dermatitis or when the skin of the perineum is inflamed. Teach the patient to use the product sparingly when applying to affected areas. They should not use in more quantity, so that also has to be taught to them. Okay, then consult the physician concerning placement of an indwelling catheter when severe urine loss is complicated by urinary retention, when careful fluid monitoring is indicated, when perineal dryness is required to promote the healing of a stage 3 or 4 pressure ulcer during periods of critical illness or in the terminally ill client, when use of absorbent products produce craving or stress. So because of indwelling catheter, there is any urinary retention that happens as a complication, so fluid monitoring has to be carefully noted, and if the patient is having pressure sores, it can be 3rd or 4th degree, again taking adequate care, very important. Make sure that the perineum is kept dry and clean. Okay, then in case of critical illness or terminally ill, make sure use of absorbent products might produce pain or distress. So always you keep them, and if it is becoming wet, that also causes discomfort. It can lead to stress in the patient. So according to the physician's order, consult and take orders and carry out the care for the patient. Then refer the client with intractable or extraurethral incontinence to a continence service or specialist for further evaluation and management. If the patient is continuously having, then we have to intractable, okay, continuously or extraurethral incontinence, any other incontinence caused apart from urethral problems, we have to refer them to the physician. Okay, so these are the various nursing management to be kept in mind. Collect history, urine output, maintain logbook, okay, see how much of your intake and output, then what are the products, discuss to them, give an option to for them to take the option whichever they want, a cost effective one for long term acute care, prolonged bread reservation, we have to be very careful. Then skin care, perineal care has to be given, moisturizing with the ointment, okay, is very important. Then if it is because of any antifungal infection, we have to make sure that, so we have to consult with the physician to ask about, you know, ill effects if the patient is having indwelling catheter. So that has to be asked, and then pressure source according to the degree care has to be given, and make sure that you know, absorbent pads, when the patient is on absorbent pads, it should not lead to any kind of discomfort or distress or pain to the patient. So these are all the various nursing management that we have to carry out for the patient. Next we will see in case of geriatric, that is the old age people. So we have to provide privacy and support when changing incontinence device of elderly client. So we have to make sure that we provide privacy, and you have to give support, okay, psychological support to them when we are putting under any device for elderly client. So elderly hospitalized client frequently express feelings of shame, guilt and dependency when undergoing urinary containment device changes. So when we are changing, it can be in terms of, you know, the pad, or you know, that absorbent that we have kept, or any kind of devices we might keep and remove. So this can actually lead them into shame. They will feel very shameful, they will be having guilt, okay, and they will feel that they are dependent on others. So we have to be very careful. So this has been actually given by Bigerson et al, okay, research that was conducted in 1993 by Bigerson. Okay, so he has found that they will have, so we have to provide adequate you know, psychological support to the patient. Then we have to employ meticulous infection control procedures when using an indwelling catheter. So we have to make sure that, you know, we give infection control procedures, how to control and how to use the indwelling catheter. Okay, so coming on to home care intervention, because we might see that old age people also might have this indwelling catheter at the home. Okay, they cannot stay in the hospital for a long term. So in that case, okay, we have to give them certain teaching. So we have to teach the family how to apply, dispose and clean and reuse containers. If they are using any kind of device, how they can wash it and reuse it. Okay, then teach the family about routine perineal care. We have to teach them in order to prevent any kind of, you know, pressure sores or infection, perineal dermatitis. Then we have to include daily or everyday hygiene. We have to teach them. Then teach the client and family to recognize and manage perineal dermatitis, ammonia contact dermatitis and monilial rash. So in kind of this, they have to immediately approach the hospital, take the prescription. So here the ointment will be applied, and then we should teach them how to apply, not to apply more. Okay, so proper hygiene should be given, and after that they have to apply it. Then we have to teach the patient to maintain adequate fluid intake. Okay, 30 ml per kg of body weight per day has to be given. Then teach the client and family to recognize and manage urinary infection. If the patient has developed any urinary infection, we should tell them how to take care of the patient. Okay, so these are all the various home care interventions. So with this, we have done with urinary incontinence.